A 39-year-old pitcher, half-deaf, epileptic, and by most accounts hungover, shuffled in from the bullpen with the bases loaded and struck out the one rookie who could have won the World Series. His name was Grover Cleveland Alexander, Old Pete. And the seventh inning of the seventh game of the 1926 World Series would become the most famous strikeout in baseball history. But to understand that moment, you have to understand the man walking to the mound. Because almost everything that made him great had already tried to break him. Grover Cleveland Alexander came out of the Nebraska cornfields in 1911 and did something no rookie has done since. He won 28 games in a single season, a number no first-year pitcher has touched in more than 100 years. He threw a fastball that sank and a curve that fell off a table, and he put them exactly where he wanted, all afternoon, for almost nothing in return. He worked so fast that hitters said the ball was on them before they had even dug in. By 1916 he was the best pitcher alive. 33 wins. 16 shutouts in a single season, a record that still stands more than a century later, one nobody has come within 4 of since. He led the league in wins, in strikeouts, in earned run average, year after year. He didn't waste pitches. He didn't waste motion. He was a machine built for one job, and there was no one better at it on earth. Then the world took him. In 1918 the army shipped him to France. He served on the front lines as an artillery sergeant, and the guns did what the batters never could. A shell blast left him deaf in one ear. The constant concussion of the barrages triggered epilepsy, seizures that would drop him without warning for the rest of his life. Shell shock hollowed him out. He came home in one piece and in no peace at all, and he found that the only thing that quieted the shaking was a bottle. The talent survived. Barely. He kept winning, kept painting the corners, kept out-thinking hitters half his age, but the drinking cost him team after team. The men who ran baseball loved his arm and could not stand the rest of him. By June of 1926 the Chicago Cubs had seen enough, and they let him go for almost nothing, the baseball equivalent of leaving a man on the curb. The St. Louis Cardinals took the gamble for the waiver price. A broken 39-year-old, deaf in one ear, shaking, drinking, discarded, and they bet a pennant on him anyway. That fall, the Cardinals reached the World Series for the first time in the history of the franchise. Their opponent was the 1926 New York Yankees, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, the core of the lineup that would soon be called Murderers Row. Nobody gave St. Louis a chance. And nobody gave the old man one either. But Grover Cleveland Alexander had one October left in his arm, and he was about to spend every last drop of it in the span of 3 days. Alexander started Game 2 and beat the Yankees cold. Then, with the Cardinals down to their final game before elimination, he started Game 6, and beat them again, a complete game, in Yankee Stadium, in front of the enemy's own crowd. 2 wins. 18 innings. An arm that 2 teams had thrown away had just dragged a third all the way to a Game 7. The story goes that Alexander celebrated that night the way he celebrated everything. He was old, he was spent, and he had every reason to believe his series was over, that he'd never be asked to throw another pitch. So when Game 7 arrived on October 10, 1926, he sat down in the bullpen. And by most tellings, he was not warming up. He was sleeping off the whiskey. Here the record grows honest and murky at once. Historians still disagree on how drunk, or weather drunk at all. Alexander swore for the rest of his life that he was stone sober, that he had been up in the pen and ready. Teammates and sportswriters told it the other way, with relish. The truth is buried with the men who were there. But every version of the story ends at the same mound, with the same impossible situation waiting for him. The game was tight. Cardinals up 3-2 in the seventh. 2 outs. And then it came apart. The Yankees loaded the bases, 3 men on, the tying and winning run standing 60 feet away, and walking to the plate was Tony Lazzeri, a rookie who had driven in 114 runs that season. One swing of his bat could end the World Series. The Cardinals player-manager, Rogers Hornsby, walked to the mound and did the unthinkable. He waved to the bullpen for the exhausted old man, the one who had thrown a complete game the day before, the one who might not even be sober. The legend says Hornsby met him halfway and stared into his eyes to see if he was fit to pitch. Alexander said he was. He walked in slow, no rushed warm-up, no panic in the shoulders. He had faced 10,000 hitters. He had faced artillery in France. A loaded bag in the 7th inning was not going to shake a man the war couldn't. Lazzeri swung and missed. Then he turned on a pitch and crushed it down the left field line, a ball that was a grand slam by a matter of feet, hooking foul at the last possible instant. An entire series, hanging on the wind for one heartbeat. And then Alexander came back and threw the pitch low and away, exactly where he wanted it, and Lazzeri swung through it for strike 3. The bases stayed loaded. The lead held. But it still wasn't over. Alexander pitched the 8th. He pitched the 9th. He retired the Yankees one at a time until there were 2 outs left in the season, and then Babe Ruth, of all people, drew a walk and broke for second base trying to steal. He was thrown out. The World Series ended on a caught stealing, the greatest hitter alive tagged out in the dirt, and the old drunk still standing on the mound. Grover Cleveland Alexander had saved the championship with the most famous strikeout ever thrown, but the man behind it would spend the rest of his life proving how little that afternoon could save him. For 1 October, everything Alexander had lost came roaring back. The country that had sent him to war and gotten back a broken man watched him topple the mighty Yankees on nerve and memory alone. It became an American parable, the veteran, the underdog, the last stand of a man everyone had written off. Hollywood filmed it in 1952 as the winning team, with a young actor named Ronald Reagan playing Alexander on the mound. The strikeout of Lazzeri became a scene every kid in America knew by heart. But the parable left out the ending. Alexander pitched a few more seasons, and then the game was finished with him. The epilepsy worsened. The drinking never stopped. He ended up working a flea circus on 42nd Street in New York, standing on a little stage, telling the Lazzeri story to strangers for tips, letting crowds pay a dime to gawk at the man who once struck out the Yankees. He was voted into the Hall of Fame in 1938 and could barely scrape together the money to get there. He died alone in a rented room in Nebraska in 1950, nearly broke, his damaged heart finally giving out. His records outlived every bit of it. 373 wins, still tied for the third most in the entire history of the game, a number no modern pitcher will ever come near. 90 shutouts, second only to Walter Johnson. 16 shutouts in a single season, all these years later, untouched. Every one of them thrown by a man the world kept trying to break. And that is why the moment still matters. Baseball loves its clean legends, the natural, the golden arm, the hero who deserves it. Alexander was none of that. He was living proof that greatness and ruin can live in the same man, that the same iron nerve that wins a World Series in the 7th inning can't win back a single quiet life. When we tell the story of that strikeout, we almost always stop at the triumph, freeze it there, roll the credits. The truth is harder and better than the movie. He was already losing. He did it anyway. So here is the question. When the old man walked in from that bullpen, half deaf, worn to the bone, maybe still drunk from the night before, was that the single greatest act of nerve in baseball history? Or was it just a broken man with nothing left to lose, doing the one thing on earth he still knew how to do? Follow for more.